Welcome to Rules I Refuse to Follow, a weekly bite-sized segment where I unpack the unspoken rules women are expected to follow in business, relationships, and daily life, and lovingly burn them to the fucking ground. This is Too Much, Not Enough, the podcast helping 6- and 7-figure female leaders understand how chasing success is causing anxiety and self-doubt, and how awakening your divine feminine energy will reignite flow, abundance, and ease. I'm your host, Hannah O'Donovan, and this week's rule, 6 a.m. morning routines. You know what I'm talking about. Those routines that we see on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok of male founders who are telling us that by waking up at 5 a.m. and doing 5 hours of work before the rest of the world has even gotten to their computers, they are crushing it in business. And don't get me wrong, I believe them. That probably works really well for them. However, that is not the only way to crush it in life and business. And it is certainly not the way that cyclical beings like us women crush it in business. There may be seasons or times of the month where getting up at 6 a.m. and following a strict morning routine works really well for you. And there will also be times where the thought of doing that makes you want to shrivel up and die. And there is a difference between allowing ourselves to get up and get moving versus the cozy, comfy draw of staying in bed all day and feeling the need to follow the exact same thing every single day. Now, I have never been an early morning person. Never. In fact, until I met my now partner, getting out of bed before 9 was like crazy early for me. I love my sleep and I love to sleep in. My partner is a morning person. He loves waking up before the alarm, often around 6 a.m. And he likes to go to the gym in the morning. And he has gotten me into that routine, which I do love. We get up, he gets up, and then about an hour later, I get up, and then I get ready and we go to the gym. And that has worked for me generally. Are there days where I do not fucking want to get out of bed? Absolutely, especially at the beginning. It was a shift that I needed to make in my mindset, even in my physiology of wanting to get up and go to the gym. And the more I did it, the more I saw the positive return from getting up and moving my body in the morning, the more my body got used to it and enjoyed it. So this is not to say like fuck morning routines and sleep in, although if that's what calls to you, then absolutely. For different people, there are different times of the day where they feel more energized. You might be a night owl and there is nothing wrong with that. What I'm speaking more to is this idea that we have a checklist and every single morning we have to get up and do that checklist in the exact same order and wake up at the exact same time. And if we don't do that, then we are not succeeding. We are not going to have successful days, weeks, businesses, families, or lives. And I really, really refuse that because there are times where it is much easier for me to get out of bed than others. There are times where life happens and maybe you got to bed a little bit later than usual, or you didn't have a great night's sleep, or you wake up and you're not feeling so good. And it's so important to listen to our bodies because I believe that that is actually where consistency comes from more. If we are forcing ourselves into perfection every day, we are going to burn out. Our bodies are going to resist that, especially as women and cyclical beings. When we listen to our bodies and generally follow a routine, because listen, there is nothing wrong with the routine. As an ADHD girly, I need routine. Routine is important. I love checklists. I love those boundaries that keep me on track. And as an entrepreneur, as someone who works for myself, I have had to create structure and routine. Otherwise, nothing would get done. But when I realized that it doesn't make me a lazy, unsuccessful person because I don't follow a 6 a.m. morning routine and do it the same every single day, that was a huge mindset shift for me and a big relief in my body. I have become far more consistent by saying, these are some of the things I would like to prioritize in my routine. These are some of my non-negotiables, and that list is very small. And the other things I will bring in and out of the routine on the days and weeks that it makes sense for me to do that. I will allow myself to fall off track a bit and then get back on track. I have been far more consistent with getting up and going to the gym in the morning when that is the only thing that I have put on my plate in the mornings. And then from there said, okay, how am I feeling today? You know what? Actually, I think I'd like to read a little bit this morning, or maybe I'd like to meditate, or no, you know what? I'm feeling ready to go. I want to get into work. So I'm going to have my breakfast and sit down at my computer. It is not a requirement of a successful female leader to have this perfect 6 a.m. morning routine. We have been led astray by thinking that we have to be carbon copies of ourselves every single day in order to reach this status of success. And in fact, forcing ourselves into this perfect consistency is what is killing our creativity, is what is killing our ability to connect with our divine feminine flow and our intuition. And it can feel so counterintuitive. It can feel so easy to override that need for flexibility because we are constantly being bombarded with these videos, which quite honestly, I don't think these people who are filming these videos are even following these exact morning routines. I think there are the odd few men who do that, and probably certain women in certain seasons of their life who need to do that. Like, for example, women with children who have to get up early in order to be able to fit in certain things that they need to do to be a better person and show up in their day better for their families, for their community. But I just really, if you take nothing else from listening today, I want to say that you can be incredibly successful. In fact, in my mind, probably more sustainably and long-term successful if you allow yourself to flow and say, I am not a bad person if I don't have my 6 a.m. morning routine on lock. So that is this week's rule that I am saying the big old fuck you to. I'll see you here next week, and I hope you have a deliciously gorgeous rest of your day.